My name is John Ingerman, and I've had the honor over the past few months of serving as the territorial chairman for the Brian Roach gubernatorial campaign, and now have the honor of serving as the territorial chairman for the Brian Roach campaign for the general election coming up. And I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us here this morning. Today is a huge day for the Virgin Islands, a monumental day for the Democratic Party, as we are truly taking a major step, one that we haven't seen in many, many years, whereas we are really prepared to illustrate and demonstrate true unity for the Virgin Islands and Virgin Islands politics. I want to thank all of the players that participated in the primary election gubernatorial process, all the teams that participated. It's a small territory, so it was inevitable that friends would be competing against friends and family would be competing against families for a favorable outcome. But at this point in time, it is with great excitement that I'm here to talk about how those three camps are now combined to be one. You know, I sat here and I was thinking for a second. We've shaped it up in a number of different ways, but because we believe in a better tomorrow, we are now officially all in to change course now. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce Mr. Baker Phillips, who is going to share a few words on behalf of the Democratic State Chair, Donna Christian Christensen.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Ingerman. Good morning, Mr. Dawson. Good morning, Mr. Petrus. Good morning, Cecile Benjamin, our incoming state chair. Good morning to all the senators who are here present. And good morning to the next governor of the U.S. Virgin Islands, Mr. Albert Bryan. You guys know I like get excited. So before I begin, I need a chant before I even speak this morning. So on the count of 3, I want you to say, change course now. 1, 2, 3. Change course now. Again. Change course now. Again. Change course now. Good morning. My name is Edgar Baker Phillips, District Chair of the St. Thomas District of the Democratic Party. This morning I bring you greetings from the State Chair, Donna Christensen, who could not be here with us this morning. But I have a statement verbatim which will be available after I conclude my statement here this morning on her behalf. The Democratic Party has revived its roots and is proud to stand on the shoulder of Democrats of the past who created a strong middle class, built on housing, education, healthcare, economic opportunities, good government, and work protection for our rights. They provided a solid foundation upon which our candidates will build a future we hope for, need, and deserve. So we ask all registered Democrats to come back home, and we invite you to the Virgin Islands to join us in electing Albert Bryan, Treganza Roach, for the next governor of the U.S. Virgin Islands, because we must change course now. On behalf of the St. Thomas Democratic District, unity in the Democratic Party. Thank you to the thousands of registered Democrats who participated in the August 4th Democratic primary of 2018. Congratulations to all the candidates who ran for the Territorial Committee, State Chair of the Democratic Party, Board of Education, the Senate, and to the Governor and Lieutenant Governor's team. You all were hands in and did a great job representing the Democratic Party of the Virgin Islands. The Democratic Party will win victory in November 6th, will usher in a decade of prosperity, providing jobs for our youths, business opportunity for college graduates, and a chance for homeowners in the Virgin Islands. But we must change course now and ensure a better tomorrow for the next generation of Virgin Islanders. Calling all Democrats. Let's win this in November 6th in one shot by changing course now. Change course now. Before I go, I'd like to say this. On behalf of State Chair Donna Christensen and the incoming State Chair Cecil Benjamin and the St. Thomas District Committee, today we endorse the Bryan Roach team for the next Governor and Lieutenant Governor of the Virgin Islands by changing course now. Change course now. Thank you very much.
Morning. I want to begin by really congratulating all three of us up here. We made a commitment, and we are here to live up to our commitment. Selflessness, and that is important. I remember about 3 or 4 weeks ago encountering Albert down in the Emancipation Garden, and I say, oh my gosh, Albert, you're making me work too hard. You know? And he looked at me and he said, man, you don't understand how hard you're making me work. And so that is about making each other better, pushing each other to the limits. And so I want to thank each and every one of you for that. And what we did, I felt, I'm proud of the campaign that we ran because it was a clean campaign. And I must also give kudos to the individuals who helped work on my campaign. But I want to say this is very important. And I reflect on the last presidential election when Bernie Sanders lost and his people were emotionally hurt, emotionally distraught, wounded. And they stayed home. A lot of them stayed home. And because of that, today we have Trump. But that is not, the critical thing here, the lesson here, because of that, he has the ability to appoint perhaps 3 Supreme Court justices, all because people stayed home. And so I want to, through the sound of my voice, wherever I'm at, wherever you are, to communicate this. This is very important. Through the journey, there are going to be bumps and bruises. But the most important thing is the rainbow sits at the destination. The end of the journey is the destination. The destination here is about getting the Democratic Party represented by the Bryan Roach team elected. And I'm asking people who supported me, who supported Dawson, to come out and participate. Don't stay home. Because on the larger scale, for the U.S., it's the Supreme Court, and we all know the important role they play. On the local level, it is basically our life. It is that important. It is that grave. And I try to communicate this to people, and I know, it's going to take some time for some people to really move from where they are to where we need them to go. But the bigger picture, really, is about how do we move the Virgin Islands forward. And unequivocally, because I know the players that we are competing against. I know them too well, the top players, and they are not good for the Virgin Islands. I am serious about this. You know, I have everything invested in these communities. I give to these communities. And so I am so passionate about this. That's why it is important for us, none of us, to stay home, and for all of us who are eligible to vote to come out and support this man and his running mate, Roach. I thank you.
Good morning. Good morning, fellow Democrats. Good morning, family. Protocol having been established, I would first like to acknowledge my running mate, Maurice James, who is not with us here today, but I'd like to thank her for stepping up to be running with me and to offer herself to public service here in the Virgin Islands. I would also like to thank my campaign committee on all 3 islands, some of whom are here today. So if you're here, please stand and be recognized. And of course, I'd also like to thank my thousands of supporters and voters that came out and voted for the Dawson-James team. But today, it's about our nominee, Albert Bryan and Tregenza Roach. But please indulge me first. To everything, there's a season, and a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to be born, and a time to die, a time to plant, and a time to pluck up that which is planted. A time to kill, and a time to heal. A time to break down, and a time to build up. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. A time to weep, a time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to get and a time to lose. A time to keep and a time to cast away. A time to rend and a time to sow. A time to keep silence and a time to speak. A time to love and a time to hate. A time of war and a time of peace. Welcome to the time of peace. Because God knows we were just engaged in a war, okay? But I would consider it to be, all things considered, a civil war. But it is truly now a time for peace and a time for us to come together. Democrats, nationally and locally, have a reputation that when they form a firing squad, they form it in a circle. Stop to think about it, right? A circular firing squad is not beneficial to anybody, and it certainly is not beneficial to Democrats, because we all get killed in the crossfire. After the August 4th primary, Ali, myself, and Albert are committed to having a firing squad. But guess what? All of the weapons are going to be pointed outward to the true enemy of the people of the Virgin Islands. And to those who would interfere with the well-being and the benefits of the Virgin Islands as a territory of the United States. We stand together on that. You know, after the 2010 general election, I was Commissioner of Finance, and I watched the returns coming in from my office, which was, as it turns out, fairly close to the camp of one of the gubernatorial candidates that was not victorious in 2010. Stop to think about it for a moment who that was. And as I was driving from my office to the campaign headquarters of the victor, Governor John DeYoung, there was a lady walking out of the campaign headquarters of the individual who had lost the race. And she was in tears. Now, of course, we were happy because our guy won. But somebody that was in the car with me looked at that woman and they started to, hey, not make fun of her, but to laugh. And I stopped them and I said, no. This woman exercised her democratic rights, and she is in pain tonight because her candidate did not win. And while we were victorious, let us not make fun of her. Let us not laugh at her, because it is very important that we respect people and their democratic rights. And I will tell you, Albert, losing is not easy. But if we had to lose to somebody, I must say that you are the man to have lost to. Because we do truly believe in a better tomorrow, and we believe that you and Tregenza can help us to deliver that better tomorrow. But as I sit here, the historian in me is reminded that in 1970, when we first had the right to vote for a democratically elected governor of the Virgin Islands, there were 3 great men that ran for that office. And I consider them all to be Virgin Islands heroes. And to be perfectly honest with you, I look at us very similarly. We had the late, great Melvin Evans, we had the late, great Cyril King, and we had the late, great Alexander Farrelly. And each one of them wanted to win that election in 1970. But as fate would have it, they would each have their turn in that relay race that we call governing to serve the people of the Virgin Islands. And I see us in that capacity. So today, as you embark on the first leg of that relay, you have my pledge, Angel E. Dawson Jr., and the pledge of my campaign and our campaign workers to support the Bryan Roach team so that you will be successful in running that first leg to restore the Virgin Islands to all that we know that it can be, because we still believe in a better tomorrow. God bless you. God bless you all.
I've actually spent the last 2 years with this guy. We pretty much talk every day, several times a day. First thing in the morning, last thing at night. We have practically become brothers. I respect Albert for a number of different reasons, but one of the main reasons I really appreciate Albert is that he represents the Virgin Islands fully. Born in St. Thomas, raised in St. Croix, it is now time for us to not only unify the Democratic Party, but actually unify the Virgin Islands overall. Over the past few years, politically, we have gone through the process of lobbying the governorship from one district to another. But I'm really, really excited about the future that we have here. Albert Bryan, the next governor of the Virgin Islands.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm still getting used to this. I'd like to just thank all that came out to vote on Saturday. All the supporters, whatever team you were from, that came out and participated in the process. My campaign workers, they worked so hard. Lord, they worked hard. My family, my friends, and you Virgin Islanders for giving us, Tregenza and I, your vote of confidence. He wasn't able to make it today. As usual, he is doing the people's business in the legislature. We almost had him, and he was like, you know what? I have to be there for roll call. So we applaud him on that. You know, when we started this, we believed in a better tomorrow. We believed that Virgin Islanders could have a better place, could have a better government, more opportunities. Because when my kids come to me and ask me, Daddy, why do the schools look like that? And how do you expect kids, students, to learn in those types of environments? I feel that. When I go to those grocery stores and I see the price of chicken, and of meat, of rice, I ask myself, how do other families in the Virgin Islands afford to do it? How do we go on for years and years without adjusting salaries and paying people what they deserve and in really investing in our future? I said, you know, Albert, you have to go all in to work for a better Virgin Islands and that better tomorrow that we believe in. The one word I want everyone to get used to is historic, because we're going to be doing some things that are historic. And my good friend Bobby Connor yesterday at the Democratic meeting said, this is historic. There has never been a Democratic primary where all the participants come out and support the Democratic candidate, the nominee to be the next governor of the Virgin Islands. And historic because these two gentlemen here are titans in their own right. Angel Dawson, a tremendous Virgin Islander in the banking and the financial world, led our department. I called him the other day. I can actually say you're good now. Led the Department of Finance to get our audits up to date, saw us through 3 total economic disasters: the American Great Recession, the Hovensa, our energy crisis in the Virgin Islands when WAPA went to 52 cents, and the shutdown of Hovensa, and really did a yeoman's job in that position. So thank you, Angel. And Ali Petrus, a tremendous Virgin Islander. I could say it now. A titan among businessmen. Here is a native-born son. And he was right. That is an example of how hard work and determination you can do it all. He went to the Senate and he did it at a very young age, flipped the script, came back and did it in the business world. And he showed you that the only failure is when you don't learn from it. He done sandwiches, he's done breakfast, he's doing gas. What will Ali do next? I love this guy. Worked with him on the Port Authority Board, and I thank him. Because it would feel bad to me when people would come to me and speak ill of these two gentlemen in any election. These are tremendous people that are running for governor, that have opened up their hearts, their families, their life to scrutiny for the betterment of all of us. Thank you. And I say historic because we have learned now that we can disagree without fighting. Because it's okay to disagree. We don't have to be angry at one another. Whether we differ on policies or our perspectives, we respected each other's position. We're going to be historic because we're going to show people that you can finish an election and still embrace your teams. That you don't have to be discriminatory because somebody did not support you. But you must recognize that none of us work for a governor. We work for the people of the Virgin Islands. This is going to be historic because for the first time in the Virgin Islands history, we are going to do what we say, and we're going to complete what we said we were going to do. We said we were going to come to this table together. We are at this table together. We said we were going to support equal rights, no matter your color, creed, national origin, or orientation. We are going to support your right to be in the Virgin Islands. and your right to a Virgin Islands for all of us. We said that we're going to acknowledge the voters' voice for change. And you look at this election and you see that the voices of women must be heard. Congratulations to what I'm calling her now, the queen of politics, Donna Fred Gregory. My good friend Alicia Barnes, as well as my good friend Alison Digazon. Donna, you're my friend too, but I forget to put that on. We're going to do what we say because we're going to support young people, not just bring them into our campaigns for eye candy and strut them around, but we're going to use their ideas. We're going to put them to work, and we're going to look for them for guidance for this new Virgin Islands. And in support of that, I want to introduce you to the youngest Democratic nominee, Mr. Javan James out of St. Croix, a senatorial candidate. We're going to unite our Democratic Party, but not just the Democratic Party, the entire Virgin Islands, because it's going to take all of us to get it right. We're not just going to have Republican for Brian Roach and the Democratic Party, or independents for Brian Roach. We're going to have Mappites for Brian Roach. I want to make sure that I don't end this without telling you that a united Democratic Party cannot be defeated. We don't have to worry about them. They have to worry about us. I want to make sure that I also acknowledge my good friend, I'm going to have to get used to calling all these people Senator, Stedman Hodge back there in the audience. My fellow Viber, Bobby Thomas, too busy Facebook living. And all of the other candidates that ran and are still around, like Randolph Bennett, Albert Richardson, Randolph Thomas, all of them that have stood by us, Jonathan Tucker, new young Democrats ready to go to fight. I would also like to recognize Councilman King, Congressman King back there visiting us down from New York. And to let you know that this is just the beginning. We have lots of work to do and many roads before we sleep. But we need your help. We need each and every one of you within the sound of your voice to commit to a new Democratic Party, to commit to a new Virgin Islands, to commit to a vision that we can truly be and have a Virgin Islands for every one of us. But to do that, all you have to do is change course now. Thank you so much. I think we will be willing to take a couple questions from the media if there are any.
So, like Albert said, we'll take questions from the media. We do have an online option as well. I think there's an open phone line. I'm not hearing that line right now, but if there are any questions coming through there, you can certainly bring them through. And if there are any questions from the audience, we'll take them as well as for Facebook Live. Angel?
As we fill time and wait for the questions, I think that all three of us were remiss in recognizing some very important people. And let me remember before I go home, let me thank Leslie Thomas Dawson, my wife, for allowing me to embark on this journey and for supporting me for the whole period of time. And my mother, Alana Lewis Grab, and all my brothers and sisters and family that supported me, because without family behind us, none of us could have done this. So I'll allow the others to correct that as well, because I don't think any of us did.
He couldn't whisper that.
While we're waiting for questions, we just want to give you some update of some of the activities that's being done by the district. On September 1st, we will be in the Pearson Garden area with what we call our back-to-school book, pencil, hot dogs, and hamburgers giveaway and basketball game among the candidates. Then on September 8th, we'll be back at the UVI Sport and Fitness Center for our Unity Candidate Acceptance Convention. And then September 6th, we will be hosting our Unity Dinner Dance, honoring state chairs of the present and past. And finally, we'll be at the UVI Sport and Fitness Center on October 20th with our newly registered Democrats cocktail sip. Please jot those dates down and get ready to support Democrats. Democrats all the way.
So I must say the candidates did an awesome job today, because a good indicator of that is that they've answered all the questions, so there aren't any more questions. So without further ado, I want to thank each and every one of you for coming out this morning, being a part of this historic, very historic event, and we're looking forward to your participation in the upcoming election on November 6th. I think polls would open at 7 a.m. But there's a lot of work to do. We're looking forward to having your support. Please don't hesitate to get in contact with any of the campaign team leads. We are now one team, so feel free to pass on your information. Get on board, get involved. Let's make a difference and change course now. Have a good day, everybody.